Hey friends, welcome to the School of Hard Knocks with Darcie, a place where we become unstuck from trauma and grounded in our healing. I'm your host, Darcie, and I'm a proud multi-graduate of the School of Hard Knocks. Life has a way of teaching us lessons we never asked for, but here we take those lessons and turn them into healing, strength, and self-leadership. I'm so glad you're here. Let's dive in.
Just a quick reminder. This podcast shares personal stories and lived experiences. It's not therapy. It's not counseling or legal advice. If you need professional help, please reach out to a licensed provider. Hey, School of Hard Knocks, welcome back. Class is in session. I am here with our Rebuilt series, which is my season in blooming. So today our guest is Melissa Oliver. Melissa, welcome to the School of Hard Knocks.
Hi, Darcie. So glad to be here. Thank you.
I am so happy to have you. Well, let me introduce you guys to Melissa. So Melissa Oliver is with BU and Bloom Collective. She has quite the story about being homeless in her earlier years, 17, 18 years old. And now all of these decades later, we won't age her too drastically. She's done a lot of inner healing and growth, and she feels that she's been called to serve others and help build resilience through her story at any season of her life. I'm so excited to chat with you about this today.
Thank you, Darcie. Thanks for having me. And you can count the decades, girl. That's totally fine. It's been 3 decades. And so, so started off at 17 years old. And, just like you said, after high school, and I found myself in a homeless situation. And I look back and I reflect, and I'm so glad that it's passed and beyond me, but it's also helped shape me and build me and build that resilience. So, yeah.
And I love that too because no regrets, right? Like
Right.
I
Yeah.
have a really traumatic childhood and upbringing, and I went through a lot of stuff in my teenage years and honestly all the way up through my life. But I don't regret any of it because it is why I am who I am today. So I totally feel what you're saying. So take us back. I mean, what was going on at that time in your life that caused you to be part of the on house community?
So, I was 17. I had just graduated high school in May of 96. It's a story that this is the first time I'm actually sharing it. So thank you for the space, Darcie.
Yes.
Um, and I had gotten kicked out. My mom had kicked me out after an argument, and I was not allowed to come back in. And so I found myself, I was still working. I was working for a grocery chain here in San Antonio, and nobody knew. And so I would just, hide in my car. And the security guard at HEB knew, because he knew that I was up to something. He's like, "What's going on?" And so I finally had to share with him. But I went to different friends' houses and I was on their couches. And then a couple of friends, one friend brought me in, and he was a nice gentleman. And, at 18, 19 years, 17, 18, I'm like, I don't want to be here at a guy's house. That's not what I want to do. So I was there for a couple of months. And then one of my girlfriends, she had an apartment that was abandoned. And so she offered me to stay there for a couple of months. So there I was on the floor a couple of months, never sharing it with anybody, right? I had too much shame at that time to even begin to share it with any of my community. Like a couple of close friends knew. And so then that's what I did. I started reading a lot of books and started just really kind of starting my part of my healing journey then because I was like, this isn't the way I want to live. And so I worked really, really hard at any company that I was in. And then I just hid from it and I was buried in shame for many, many decades, many, many years. And it wasn't until maybe earlier this year that I really just started speaking about it and realizing what God has really pulled me through. So, yeah.
That's interesting because I just started my own healing journey within about the last year. And
Wow.
I really held a lot of that stuff in. And, for me, because it had happened so long ago and I was so young, I wasn't like embarrassed by it, but I was afraid of hurting my parents.
Yeah.
Like them knowing I remember things all the way back to from the age of 4. My
Yeah.
first memory is actually watching my dad almost kill my mom while I
Wow.
held two of my siblings next to me because there were already three of us at this point. I'm
Yeah.
the oldest of 9.
Wow.
So, yeah, my childhood was full of all kinds of ups and downs, but I started sharing recently because there has to be a mess in the message, right? There
Right.
has to be a way to show other people you can go through hard things and you don't have to stay in a victim, mentality because of the things that had happened to you so long ago. So at that time, I mean, how was your childhood? Did you and your mom have a good relationship all the way up?
Yeah, no, so my childhood was seemingly perfect on the outside, right? I went to private school, everything looked nice and wonderful. I mean, my mom and my stepdad were the ones who raised us, but my dad was very active in our lives. I mean, he was not just a over weekend dad. My dad was at field trips. He did everything that he could. So we had a lot of active presence. My mom dealt and she struggled with a lot of depression. She struggled with quite a bit, and I now have compassion for her. We still don't have a good relationship because of the damage that she's just continues to do, right? She chose not to get any help. Um, so yeah, so childhood was rough. It was tough, and like I said, seemingly looks perfect on the outside, but really inside it was a lot of anger, a lot of bursts of depression. I would see my mom on the couch all the time, so she was not a present mom, emotionally present, and when she was pretty she was just a pretty angry person. And that's what I shared that with somebody the other day. I said, God at that time, although my mom wasn't present, but then he gave me the gift of being present for others. And so I see him in my story so much more now. I have a lot, like I said, I have a lot of compassion for my mom and my dad didn't know until we were in our 20s. He knew something was off, but he didn't know because we didn't share it with him. And then my stepdad, well, he did the best that he could. I think I have, like I said, I have a lot of, I look back at it and I'm like, I would really redo that all over again, but that's their story and it's just part of mine. And I've just really grown and healed through it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's evident,
Yeah.
that you're
Thank you.
at that juncture of your life, which is just so great to hear.
Thank you.
So you're unhoused at such a very young age, and I mean, that's got to be scary, right?
Yeah.
I emancipated myself at 17 years old. So I
Yeah.
was living on my own in my own apartment and paying
Yeah.
bills before I was old enough to vote. And I remember sleeping
Yeah.
on the floor of my living room because all I had was a sleeping bag. And then my dad, because I had come out of foster care, I actually put myself in foster care because of the things that were happening in my family. But then the foster care wasn't good either. And I was like, oh, adults are bad. Like
Yeah.
they're just
Yeah.
bad. Like I feel like I could do better on my own as a
Right.
17-year-old kid.
Yeah.
So one of the first things I got is he had taken the TV from my parents' divorce and he was staying a couple blocks away from me, and my dad was a bad alcoholic pretty much my whole entire
Yeah.
life. But I remember him lugging this big old school box TV,
Yep.
like not what kids see these days. It was no flat screen, it was a big heavy TV. And that's all I had was that TV on an orange milk crate in a sleeping bag in my living room for like months, walking to school, walking to work. I'm like,
Wow.
why are these adults not getting it? Like, I'm doing okay, And then, of course, I fell back off too because
Yeah.
of things that I had seen in my life and was encouraged to do. So, how did you fare at that? I mean, to stay level headed all the way through, or did you have a couple of setbacks?
Yeah, no, definitely a couple of setbacks. I remember being in my room and just like crying, like not wanting to live, right? Like, what is this life about? Like, this is
Mhm.
ridiculous and it's hard. And I still tear up, right? Thinking about it. I was 19 or 20, I think, when I finally got stable on my terms, right? Where I didn't feel like I had to depend on somebody. And then when I hit 22, which was in 2000, gosh, I didn't realize I was going to tear up, Darcy. But when I in 2000 I started heading into therapy because I realized that something was way off and these intense feelings of not wanting to be around and not wanting to be around people, but then I would always play it off like when anybody was around me I was always the funny girl or like throw a sense of humor, right? Because that was my defense mechanism. Like, yeah, my life is falling apart, but let me make everybody else happy and let me make sure that I'm the biggest people pleaser around. And so in 2000, I entered into therapy. I did it for myself. I had insurance. I mean, I had been working for so long, and I had some insurance. Oh my gosh, my tears. Um, and it's raining just like it is in San Antonio.
It's such a good release, though. And like what I've come
Yeah.
to realize is, when I talk about certain things and I get emotional about things from my past, I realize I'm not really so much like emotional about the situation itself. I'm emotional for the little girl that I was. And
Right.
it's like at this
Yes.
age, all I want to do is like coddle that little girl,
Yeah.
and because I
Yeah.
didn't have that. I didn't have the nurturing. I didn't have the
Right.
like
Yeah.
loving. And now I have found I'm 46, I'll be 47 this year. And I have found that even at my age, I'm like, somebody just like nurture me
Yes.
because we missed that for so long.
Yeah.
So that's maybe what it is you're feeling is it's not
Yeah.
the actual event of what happened. It's now that you're so grown and you know so much better,
Yeah.
you want to like hug that little girl and make it
Yeah.
okay for her.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a really good, really great observation there. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm a multi-graduate of the School of Hard Knocks, Melissa. So I've got
You,
degrees all
I,
over.
I need to get a t-shirt that says that. So whenever you go with your swag, I'm here for it, Darcie.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
I
here
know
for
that's
it.
what it is. It's that we're multi-graduates of it because so many people really truly are. And
Yeah.
it's so like heartbreaking to hear so many of these really hard stories, but it's so beautiful because so many people are making it not just over it, but through it and then being good examples for our
Yeah.
younger generation or for even people next to us. There's women that are our age that are still stuck and they haven't even started the healing process yet.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and that's what got me into certifying that myself as a life coach and a spiritual life coach. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
absolutely. So now you are in your 20s and you're going to therapy. How did that help shape you? And then how did we get to Be You and Bloom Collective?
Yeah, so going to therapy in my 20s, it was really just helping me with some self-awareness and really just some what was mine and what wasn't mine to own, right? So childhood is not my fault, but my adulthood is my responsibility. And so that's something that I carry on through me as I continue to adult. In my 20s, 25 or so, I met my husband, my first husband. We had a beautiful kids and we divorced and I will just fast forward that because that was really tough, right? I was always in therapy and I had asked him to go because everybody carries some baggage
Oh, yeah.
no matter where you come from, you have some sort of baggage, and I would ask him to go, and he struggled with alcohol quite a bit, and but he never did, and so I just realized that I just wasn't myself, and so I divorced when I had finally graduated from college at 38. So that's another win, right? But I just kept working like corporate. So parallel to corporate journey, I was working on myself, therapy, program, 12-step program called Al-Anon. I was always working parallel on myself because I always felt it's me. There's something wrong with me. There's something wrong with me. So I've grown in that. So at 38, I divorced the gift of desperation, that's when I really locked into who God was and what God was asking me to do. And in 2021, I planted a church. I met somebody else years later, and then him and I helped plant a church in 2021. And I just stayed locked into who I was and what I was about. And then BU and Bloom Collective came as a result of a spiritual awakening that I had in 2025. So 2025, let me just slow down my thought process. In the beginning of 2025, I had asked God at the beginning of the year, what do you want me to know about this season and what do you want me to do in this season? I had finished a 12-step program. I had done all the things, Darcie, like all the things, right? Like I'm good, and then my girlfriend, the same girlfriend that brought me out of homelessness or house unhouselessness, I don't even know how to say it, but the same girl that had enough bravery to share with her parents and say, "Hey, I need to get Melissa off the streets." She shared with me, she says, "Melissa, you walked it all. You've done all the therapy. You've gone to church. You've gone to community. You've done all the Bible studies. You've done all the work. but have you walked it with God? And I said, what? I said, yes, Michelle, I'm fine. She's like, no, have you walked it out? Have you brought it to him at his feet? And I said, no, I guess I hadn't. And so throughout the 6 month, I did a 6 month spiritual intensive. I just kept getting this pull in my heart, like 25 years, Melissa, 25 years. You've been healing 25 years. And that number just kept coming and coming and coming. And I was like, okay. And then I had a visualization, I had a dream. And the dream came about. God had me by my hand, and we were on a firm foundation. We were no longer, I was no longer watery. I was no longer crying. And I look back and there's people, there's women there. And I'm like, got it. I need to help women, because I was in corporate leadership for 25 years. I had been coaching and developing women and men, mostly, I mean, men and women, right? Thousands of people. But how do I use that? And I would just ask God, how do I use those skills? And so at the beginning of the year, he said, be still and know, and growth. And I'm like, those are really incongruent messages. But I did, and I was in obedience, right? So I stepped in obedience for 14 months. And then BU and Bloom came about after a conversation with another one of my friends. She's like, you always just let me be me. And I was like, girl, just be you. Like, who cares? Show up messy. Be you in the smotherhood, the motherhood. Be you in the divorce. Be you. Just be you. I go, girl, you're going to bloom. And then she's like, so I'm just going to be you and bloom. And I'm like, you are. And then that's how it came about. And I was like, oh my gosh, in any season we can bloom. We can bloom in the hard. We can bloom in the not so hard. But I had people always walking alongside with me. And I walked alongside them. And blooming is not about doing things alone and doing it hard. It's about finding a place where you can feel safe to bloom. And at so many times I thought I was being buried. No, 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 I was being planted. Right? And so I'm really firm. I'm really like stuck to that methodology. I don't even know what I want to say. And so then I created a Bloom framework over the years of me speaking to women and to coaching people. And I created a Bloom framework because I've walked with a lot of people with life events, divorce, transitions, raising children, death of loved ones. Like I've walked along that hard with a lot of people, and I've walked along that, had people walk alongside with me. So long story to your short question, but that's how Be You and Bloom came about. I just want people to bloom and be you and bloom, however that looks like for you in that season, and I'll help you grow through what you go through. So
Yeah, and I love how you said firm foundation because that's something that I talk about all of the time. And I don't think people always understand what that means to actually have a firm foundation.
yeah.
So, I always say, I mean, if you're building a house, you have to have that firm foundation,
Yeah.
right? Like if you just built on the ground or on sand, this beautiful home,
Yeah.
eventually it's going to start to sink. So if you're going to be really serious that you want to put this into action, we talk about that. This is the place we become unstuck from trauma and grounded in our healing, because once we're grounded there, that is where we want to stay. Now, that doesn't mean that life isn't still going to come around and try to knock us down, because that's literally what life is designed to do. But when
Right.
you're grounded in healing like that, it's so much easier to get back up.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Eh,
So now you have this BU and Bloom Collective. How long has that been around for?
So it's only been around for I think 6 months, I guess. I got my LLC earlier this year, so maybe like 2 to 3 months, like
That is so
solidly. Yeah,
exciting.
yeah. I'm
I
so
love,
excited.
like, my podcast is only, I mean, July of last year.
Yeah,
So, I mean, a infant stage of growing, and that's really great because there's so much room out here to bloom, right, into
yeah.
whatever it is that this is going to take you to go and
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
So, how are things for you, like current day? Like you said, you don't have a relationship with your mom, like you don't have one at all, or is it broken?
Yeah, I know. I have decided for my own peace of mind and my own protection just to leave, just to let her be. We've tried to restore. When I say we, it's been a lot of me asking of her, like, hey, mom, putting up the boundaries in a very safe way, in a safe place. But I've come to realize that she's just unable to, right? Like that she just does not have the capacity to be there. And what I have learned and what I've come to find out is that she's not only damaged the relationship with me, but with my siblings, with my own children, and that's something that I'm not willing to compromise on.
Yeah, and
It's
I mean
painful.
that's a really important topic because I remember it must have been late last year, I think Mel Robbins had
Let
said
them.
something. Yeah, she had said something that really pissed a lot of people off
Yeah,
because the division of what people felt about can you cut people off that are in your bloodline or can you not?
yeah.
And what her opinion was so drastically different from what everybody else felt.
Yeah, no, that's something that's really good that you bring that up, Darcy. I read the book by Mel Robbins, Let Them Theory, but I remember going to therapy one time and one of my therapists at the time in my early 20s, and he said, Melissa, I need you to separate the title from the action. Is that action something that you're willing to accept every single day, day in and day out? And granted, I was in my 20s. And it took me a while, and so there would be times where I would just separate, and I'm like, no, 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 hard push, right? Hard push, hard boundary. And then I was like, well, she's my mom, and then she'd come back, and then hard push, and then it just wasn't. No, I just couldn't anymore as I've gotten older. And then I became a mom, right? And then I would see some of the stuff that she would do was just not healthy for my children, and not something that I was willing to accept. And it's okay. Like I had to remove her title. Like this action is not okay. It's not okay. Period. Dot. End of story. Regardless of the title that she carried in my life. So
Yeah, I mean, that's a really smart way to take a look at it too. I have had to disconnect from one of my brothers for the
yeah,
same reason. It's just when there's so much toxicity there,
yeah,
why would you ever, regardless of the title? I mean, I have people in my life that have been better to me. Like I created this 2 weeks ago where I said, sometimes water is thicker than blood because this whole blood over
oh,
water type
oh,
of
yes.
thing is to me such BS. I have been able to choose who I am going to surround
Yeah,
myself with,
right.
choose who I allow into my life. It's interesting to me that people think that because somebody is a parent or a grandparent, sibling, relative of any sort, that gives them freedom to treat you like crap. It gives them freedom to be able to, well, that that's just how your mom is. Oh,
Mhm.
that that's just how grandpa is. Oh, that's just what your
Mhm.
brother does. Well, he can go and take that someplace else. That doesn't
Right,
mean that I don't love my brother. I'm
right.
loving my brother from a distance.
Yeah,
I'm loving him from a distance because eventually, when you get truly grounded in your healing, it's all about protecting your peace.
yeah,
It's protecting your peace, protecting your joy at any cost, even if that means having to cut people off. I mean, the most beautiful flowers that we get, like outside in my garden, sometimes things have to get trimmed off of those so the nutrients can get through and make them grow even better.
yeah,
So if we're thinking about it, when you're letting that toxicity into your life, but you say that you're trying to heal from something, you're allowing yourself to not heal when you're allowing that toxicity into your life.
right. Right. The two can't be true, right? You can't be healing at the same time, right? You can't have a parallel journey. Yeah, that's a really good way to say that. That's a good.
Yeah.
Thank
Well,
you,
tell me about your coaching. Like if somebody's interested in learning, what it is you're doing and they came to you, what is kind of the process that you're leading people through?
So what I'm sharing with people is just to reach out to me, either Facebook or Instagram. I'm particularly fond of Facebook. I haven't learned to love Instagram just yet, but I ask them just to be themselves, and just I will meet them where they're at. And there's no judgment. I do share with them that I've done a lot of work on myself for 25 years. I do share with them that I am spiritually led. However, that doesn't mean that that's what we're going to talk about. They are the experts of their life. They know the stage that they're in, and I'm here to help guide them. So I asked them to just be themselves. And I say, just be you and bloom, however that is for you in this season. I've shared a little bit more about like my recent walk right now. My husband, he's a veteran and he's got some struggles with PTSD, and so that's hard too. And I have people that's helped me bloom through that as well. So I've been through a lot. Like you said, we have the school of hard knocks. Like it's a repetitive cycle, but I am on my firm foundation right now, and so I feel like I can help women grow through what they go through, no matter what season or stage of life that they're in.
Yeah, and I love it when I'm talking to coaches that, I picked up right away when you said you're working with them,
Yeah.
because that's the same thing I do. I'm an NLP practitioner and I work with you.
Yes.
We're the guide. I don't think that
Right.
people understand that truly when you're looking to make a change, it's your subconscious that already knows,
Yeah.
what is the best thing for you, but it's connecting your subconscious to your conscious by using your own words, by using your own goals, not somebody telling you, well,
Right.
you should try doing this and try doing this, or using this word. That's the thing, is when people can use their own words, their own thoughts, their own visions for where they see themselves going, that's when they're going to find the most success.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I go through a process of discovery and I have some framework called Bloom. Um, but I go through a process of self-discovery and I ask them some deep questions and some of my clients are like, dang, I didn't even think about it that way. And I said, I didn't think about it that way. You thought about it that way. That's something that
Mhm.
you came to the table with and power in the pause, right? Let them sit through that as they're experiencing, maybe for the first time, they're hearing that voice, like you mentioned, Darcie, they're hearing themselves for the first time saying it out loud. And there's something significant when you say something out loud. It's like, oh my gosh, I just said that out loud. That must mean, or whatever, right? Like, I don't know. It's just a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I'm glad that I got called to do this work. I understand my purpose now. It's taken me several decades, but I understand that it's a purpose. And um, just like a flower, it's a gentle unfolding. It's not rushed. And I think that's so important too, as coaches or as a practitioner, right? Like we're guiding them, like you said. It's a gentle unfolding. It's not rip the band-aid off. It's just a let's fold gently and let me just sit there with you. Somebody said, so you're like a motivational speaker. And I said, well, no, I speak at events. Yes. I don't call myself a motivational speaker. I don't call myself I call myself a resilience expert. I have had to work through places in my life or situations in my life, and I've built resilience. But part of that, a huge part of building resilience is self-care. I've had a self-care, I've had to journal it out, and self-care looks different for anybody and everybody. So, anyway, I digress.
Yeah, last night I was just actually on a show. It's called The Truth Show. And it was a live show that was aired, and that was one thing that we had talked about was self-love. And everybody's idea of self-love is different. So, that's what she was asking me last night, is what do you do for self-love? And for
Yeah.
me, it's taking my time in the morning, slowing myself down. I was a corporate America person too.
Mhm.
For a very long time of my life, probably about 20 some years in corporate America, high-end positions,
Yeah.
very getting phone calls at 10, 11 o'clock at night, writing jingles for this person at midnight. It was
Yeah.
just this like balls
Grind.
to the wall all of the time.
Yeah.
Like, when do you rest to even think about, am I a person that actually can heal what I'm going through when you're so busy? And then sometimes I think I kept myself so busy to prevent myself from the healing because I
Yep.
didn't want to face it. So a lot of that stuff you start to understand, but self love looks different for everybody. What does self love look like for you?
It's a warm cup of coffee in the morning. I journal quite a bit, so journaling is important. I read my Bible every morning. I have been taking on this new breathing thing, so I've been
Mm.
breathing very differently. It's like 4 seconds in, hold for 7, out for 4. I love hot bubble baths. Or just hot baths in general. Um, I knew you were going to ask me that question. I sometimes am jamming out, and it's not all worship music. Sometimes it's a long drive, and I'm listening to a rock band from the 90s that I used to
Heck
jam.
yeah.
I jam out to. Sometimes it's just calling a girlfriend, and I would just say, "Hey, I just need you to hear me out." Right? Like, and that's self-care to me sometimes. Sometimes it's getting my nails done. Um, Or, one of my girlfriends, she's a I call her my therapist, but she's my hairstylist. And so she's like, I think you need to come in for a deep conditioning treatment. And so she just does this like cool scalp massage, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that is incredible. What is that? And then it's just, it's that, or, I'm learning to slow down and pace myself. I just left corporate America on April 3rd, so 20 days ago. Yeah,
Congratulations.
20 days ago, and I'm like, oh gosh, I don't even know what to do. Because like you said, Darcie, that busyness, right? Like you find like that's what you've been assigned as a value. Like when you're busy, there's a value to that. And I'm learning to just kind of take it all in and let me sit on my porch for a little bit, and I'm gonna drink that coffee slow.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like how, because I've created something that I call my trauma toolbox.
Oh,
And
cool.
one of the things that's in my trauma toolbox, there's a lot of different tools in there to help us with the trauma. But when you said, well, sometimes I like to call a girlfriend, and that's actually one of the tools in my toolbox,
Yeah.
is having at least one safe person that
Yeah.
you're able to reach out to and just be you. Be
Hmm.
you,
And,
like,
and bloom.
not put the
Yeah.
show on if you're scream crying, if you're
Oh, that's
hyperventilating,
good.
if you can't even form a word. It reminds me off of, have you ever seen the movie Anchorman?
No, but you're like the
Ugh.
second person that tells me that. I'm writing that down.
Okay, well, then you
Wow.
should watch it. But there's this part where Will Ferrell is inside of this phone booth and he's calling his friend and he's crying so hard. His friend is like, I can't even understand what you're saying. And it's like, that's the kind of friend that you need to have where they're like, okay, I
Yeah.
can't understand what she's saying, but I'm going to let her just get it out.
Yeah. I'm gonna give her that space, right?
Yes.
Let her
And if you cannot find
to.
somebody that you're able to do that with, definitely check your circle of people because
Right.
you should have at least one person that, isn't going to judge you in those moments that you're having.
Yeah. No, that's really good.
Yeah.
I love that
That is
trauma
exciting.
toolbox. Is that what you call it?
Yeah, yeah. It's a really cool toolbox that I created. I joked about it last night. It's not what, probably your husband's toolbox looks like. Mine's like
Yeah.
pink and it has like glitter on
Yeah.
it.
I
Right? But
love
it's
it.
like tangible tools in your mind that you can grab for if, you're having a moment.
Yeah.
I'm currently walking the hardest journey of my life. My dad passed away a little over 6 months ago.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you. So I'm reaching for tools when I need to have them,
Yeah.
like if I'm having a moment, that's fine. But I always like to really preface that I'm having a moment. It's just a moment. I'm not allowing it to take the whole day, a weekend, a week, a month, because some of us can allow that to happen. So, this toolbox is designed for easy tools that you're able to grab for to, change the scary movie that's playing in our mind into something that's more pleasant. It's not taking away from healing or moving through what we need to move through, but it's allowing your nervous system to calm down to reset.
Yeah, that's really good. I imagine the pink and the glitter. That's kind of my signature colors too. I kind of like the
Yeah.
pink and the glitter. I love those chairs that are behind you. I'm like, I wish I could be there with you in person in Wisconsin.
I know they are super cute. Well, this has been really great and really great information. And I am so excited for everything that's going to be coming your way. I
Yeah.
mean, you've got a lot of really great things here. And people want to reach you. You are on Facebook, right?
Yeah. BU and Bloom Collective on Facebook, and Insta it's at BU and Bloom Collective as well. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me, Darcie. I really appreciate it. It's so nice to get to know you.
Yeah, you as well. All right, School of Hard Knocks, you know what to do. Go and find Melissa on Facebook or on Instagram and make sure you follow, you like, you love, you share, you show all of the support. There's more than enough room at the top of this mountain for everybody. And as always, when we're walking with the Lord, healing is always possible. I'll see you guys on the next episode. I'd like to thank you for sharing your time with me today. And I'm so proud of you for stepping into your healing journey. Please share this with every single person that you know. I'm here to make the biggest impact possible, and I can only do that with you by my side. I hope you hit that follow button and you save me to your library so you never miss an episode. We just took another break out of your wall, and remember, with God, healing is always possible. I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.